Good afternoon. We're going to start with today's classes. And okay, so we're going to wait for 5 minutes instead. Give me a second. All right, so we're going to start with today's classes, and we're going to see a little bit of reflexive and reciprocal pronouns. I'm not sorry, that was not the lesson. Models of possibility and probability in the past. So I will share my screen with you. And okay, right. So there you have it. So let's start with models of possibility and probabilities. And let's listen to the audio.
Hi. Someone just said hello to me. I can't remember how we know each other. She might have been a college classmate, or I could have met her at a party. Might have and could have are modals of possibility and probability in the past. I'm using these because I'm guessing about something that has already happened. Let's learn about them.
Okay, so right. So we're going to talk about models of possibility and probability in the past. This is similar to the other lesson we've seen. So let's start with the first one.
We use modals of possibility and probability in the past to talk about things that possibly or probably happened. We form these modals with modal plus have plus the past participle of the verb.
Amy did great work. She must have been proud of herself.
Okay, so we're going to talk about models of possibility and probability in the past, all the context that we're going to see since now, right? It's going to be related to the past. Okay, so notice that we have Amy did great work. She must have been proud of herself. So that's a context in the past. Okay, and what is the, for example, we are going to see these models. Okay, but let's remember that the name is all. Because we're going to talk about things that were possibly or probably happened. Okay, so that is the idea, I mean, of all of these points, right? So all the context that we're going to see then, it's going to be related to the past. Now we're going to continue with the first model that we have, and it is the usage of must. Let's listen to the audio.
Must have expresses probability. We use must have or the contraction must have when we're almost 100% sure that something was true.
I must have left my briefcase in the office. I'm almost certain that's where it is.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the usage of must, right? And we're going to say that must is when we are almost 90 or almost 100% sure that something was true. Okay, so for example, in this case, we have I must have left my briefcase. For example, the other day I lost my keys, right? So I couldn't remember where my keys were. Okay, so the only thing, right, that nice expression in that moment was because the last time I was with my keys, it was in the car, right? So I said, I must have left or I must have forgotten my keys in the car, right? Because that was the last place I was. So yes, that will be the conclusion of it. Okay, so yes. So it is like, as you can see, we're going to have this kind of model. Okay, so we can also use contractions and say massive, yeah, but it's not that common. Okay, so yes, okay, it is not that common to use. So let's continue with the second point. Okay, now we're going to see the usage of may have, might have, and could have.
May have, might have, and could have express possibility. We use may have, might have, or could have or the contractions may have, might have, or could have when we're less sure that something was true.
We might have seen each other around campus.
Or we may have been in a class together.
Yeah, it could have been last semester.
Okay, so we have, in the other hand, these models such as could have expresses. For example, he could have been taken the flight. Okay, but as you can see, it also expresses a possibility, a possibility, but the context is in the past. Okay, so we can say that it is like a past and real possibility, right? Might have is like a past and real small probability. Okay, so I'm not sure between may and might. May is the strongest. Okay, so might is when you want to show that, for example, you are less sure that something was true. I mean, you don't know. Okay, so yes, it is like the little model where we really don't know. Okay, the situation. Okay, we aren't sure of something. Okay, or we weren't sure, right? So when we are less sure that something was true, we're going to use this structure. You can also use contractions. Yeah, I know it's a little bit difficult to pronunciate, but there is no problem. Okay, so yes. For example, if I'm going to say he may have taken a different train because that's like a supposition that I have because you are not here, for example, you know. So each time we are on time, but you are not here, right? He might not have heard you, right? Because he was in silence, you know. So yes, okay. So you can also use contractions. In the case of could, okay, we can. You couldn't have seen her, right? So it is a impossibility, but we're going to continue now with the impossibilities that we can find using can't have or couldn't have.
We use can't have or couldn't have when we're almost 100% sure that something was impossible.
It couldn't have been in a journalism class. I'm taking acting classes.
Okay, so we have the opposite, the negative, right? Where we want to show that something, when we are 90 or almost 100% that sure, right, that something was not true or was impossible, we're going to use couldn't have plus the verb in its participle form. Okay, so for example, we have it couldn't have been, right? So I'm almost sure, but I'm not that sure at all, right? If I were, for example, I'm going to use another structure. For example, she can't have seen her. She was at home. Okay, so as you can see, I'm saying no, it is impossible, almost impossible, but I'm not sure. Okay, we don't know. Okay, so we're going to continue with the negative.
We use must not have when we're a little less sure that something was impossible. We don't usually use a contraction with must not.
She left in a big hurry. She must not have wanted to be late for class.
Okay, so let's continue with the usage of not have. Not have has another kind of context. For example, we know that must, it is like this model that help us to understand, right, that some kind of things are not allowed or are prohibited in other cases, right? So in those kind of contexts, we're going to use must not. For example, if you're going to go to a restaurant, right, and you're going to find children around there, around that restaurant, of course you're not going to smoke, right? So you are going to see the announcement where it says, for example, you must not smoke here, right? So that's a rule. That's a rule that you've seen. Okay, so or for example, when you're going to play, or you're going to when you're going to have in a kind of game or something like that, a kind of game. So you're going to say, for example, uh, she must have worn a different outfit, right? So as you can see, we're using the opposite, right? The affirmative word, affirmative modal, where we are talking about a rule, about an imposition, right? So yes, that will be okay. You have any question? Just let me know. And now we're going to continue with the usage of may not or might not.
We use may not have or might not have when we think something was impossible, but we aren't very sure. We don't usually use a contraction with may not or might not.
She may not have wanted to talk to me anymore.
Okay, so we're going to use a negative, right? When we think that something was impossible, but we're very sure, right? So I know this is a little bit complicated maybe to understand, but again, the same rule applies for this, the negative and affirmative, those modals that we've seen, right? The same applies here. So it means that these two modals are like not that stronger as the other ones. So I'm going to suppose that the same happens in negative, right? So may not and might not have, right? We have the negative, right? So it expresses something that was impossible, but we don't know. Okay, don't forget that we don't know. Okay, so yes, that will be. Let's continue with the next one. Okay.
In questions, we use could have. We don't use may have, might have, or must have.
Could she have been at the soccer game?
Okay, so when we're going to ask questions, right, we use could have, right? We don't use may have or might have or must have, right? Well, we can use may for permissions, okay? So if it was a permission in the past, may she have asked for permission or something like that? But no, it is not frequent. Now I'm thinking it is not frequent. Okay. So we're going to continue with the structure. Could is for questions, right? Could is for questions. We're going to place the modal at the beginning. We're going to use an auxiliary. Oh, sorry, the subject, the auxiliary, and the verb in its space form plus the question mark. Okay? You can also use not, for sure.
Notice that in short answers, we use been if the question has a form of be.
Could he have been the star?
He could have been.
When a question has a verb other than be, we use the modal plus have.
Could she have seen us there?
She could have.
Right, so we're going to continue now with the answers, right? We have short answers, right? Could yes, no answers, right? Could he have been the sir, right? So notice that if we're going to have, if we use been, okay, as the participle form of the verb be, we're going to continue, right, with the same verb, right? I mean, I'm going to answer in a complete way, you know. So you can also use may if you're not sure, may, but if you're really, really not sure, might, for example, okay? Right, so we're going to see in this other point that we have other verb that it's not part of the verb to be, but what are we going to do? Right, so we're going to just reply, okay, but without the verb in its participle form. I mean, we only need the subject, okay? The subject, we need the auxiliary, sorry, the modal, okay, whatever modal you consider, you can use may, might, must, and then plus the auxiliary, and that's all. Okay, so as you can see, you are not going to write any form of the verb, the auxiliary, or something like that. No, we're not going to write that. Okay, and finally, we're going to finish with the ninth one.
We can also use a verb without a modal to ask about possibility or probability.
Was she at the soccer game?
She could have been.
Okay, so we're going to finish with this last point. So as you can see, we have, this is a past context, right? So we have the option to, for example, if we're going to ask, okay, with a question mark, you are like, you have a doubt, you know? So for that reason, we can also use the verb to be in the past because of the context, right? And you are not saying yes or you're not saying no with that question. It's impossible. You only want to know the answer. I mean, that's only a question, right? So for that reason, we can also use any of these types of verbs, right? Were or was, okay? So yes, right? You can also use did because of the context of that, right? So you have many ways, right? You have using was, were, could, right? Using the auxiliary did and then, right? And of course, you can answer with any other model in that. Okay, so we're going to watch a video, and I think we have, what was it? Speaking, no, listening. Okay, so we're going to see this video, this short video. So give us the please. So I will share my screen with you, and let's see the vocabulary. We're going to watch this video twice with subtitles and without subtitles. Okay.
Hey, great to see you again. You too. Jackie, this is Talia. Talia, this is Jackie.
Charmed.
Nice to meet you too. Talia is a researcher at Newsline.
How exciting.
Gee, you look so familiar.
Really? We might have seen each other around campus.
I guess so. Or we may have been in a class together. I'm taking journalism classes.
No, it couldn't have been a class then. I'm taking theater classes, like Amy.
Oh well, I'll probably think of it later.
Speaking of classes, I'd better run. Can't be late for Professor Roberts.
Hold it. I think I remember where I've seen you.
Really?
Yes. The Gower building.
Right, so we're going to watch it without subtitles, and let's see if our comprehension is good.
Hey, great to see you again. You too. Jackie, this is Talia. Talia, this is Jackie.
Charmed.
Nice to meet you too.
Talia is a researcher at Newsline.
How exciting.
Gee, you look so familiar.
Really? We might have seen each other around campus.
I guess so. Or we may have been in a class together. I'm taking journalism classes.
No, it couldn't have been a class then. I'm taking theater classes, like Amy.
Oh well, I'll probably think of it later.
Speaking of classes, I'd better run. Can't be late for Professor Roberts.
Hold it. I think I remember where I've seen you.
Really?
Yes. The Gower building. Alright, so that's all. We're going to transfer some questions to you a second. Okay, I guess this is the right. Okay, so we're going to see let's see if this is okay. Right. So as you can see, we have some kind of sentences where we have to see if we know the correct answer. So let's start with the first one. Talia says, Amy, great to see you again because, okay, so let's say she wants to find a way to introduce Jackie. She has okay, I guess it's the first one. When Jackie finds out that Talia is a researcher, she asks, bored because she's not very interested in journalism, excited because she's very interested in news show, timid because I guess it's bored. Talia tells Jackie, gee, you look so familiar because she wants Jackie to think she knows who Jackie is. She thinks that Jackie is very good looking or a famous person. I guess she wants Jackie to think she knows who Jackie is. And the last one we can find when Talia says, I think I remember where I've seen you now. She is, oh my goodness, I don't remember this part. Planning to ask Jackie about her future plans, planning to show Jackie that she knows about hanging, trying to help Jackie remember her. My goodness. Okay, let's see that it's the first one, I'm not sure. And oh, I know, I knew. Talia wants to show Jackie she knows about the recording, so please take care in that part. I made a mistake right there, so yes, okay. So please don't forget to practice. It's very important because when we don't practice, we're very sure if we did a great work or not. Okay. So yes, that will be that. So okay, so the homework is already assigned, right? So yes, you can just do it, and that's all. Okay. And if you have any other question, just let me know. Okay. And that will be everything for today. Thank you for your attention, and I will see you then. Bye bye.